Hi everyone, you're watching Feeding Right, and I am Simran Arora. By the way, it just started raining in Bombay. So you can imagine the time that I'm shooting, but yeah, it's such a beautiful day. Well, today's topic is even more beautiful. They say that the best phase of a woman's life is when she's expecting, in sense when she is pregnant. So here's to those golden days of pregnancy. Today's topic is about food, health, and nutrition for expecting mothers. And we have a very special guest on board. She's one of the reputed gynecologists of our country, Dr. Dripti Dedia, who's been working in this field for the last 20 years. So, Dr. Dripti Dedia, thank you so much for your time. And these are the questions that we have. The first question is, what are the kind of foods that we can introduce in our diet, or how should we change our diet when we are pregnant?
So the answer is usually depending upon how she's living or how she's doing. So we have patients who are very not fit, eating whatever they want, and suddenly when they get pregnant, they want to eat the right food. So then our treatment starts with first correction of the normal food, how you should normally live. In pregnancy, if I have to change anything, I would increase the amount of protein a person eats. So the amount of carbohydrate you take or the amount of fats you take are always the same. But what happens is in pregnancy, if you can push the amount of protein that you take. Now, in the beginning of pregnancy, everybody is ready to change. But there are different kind of problems that come in the first trimester, that is up till 12 weeks. There are some women who have severe nausea and vomiting and they cannot take anything. In fact, in the first 3 months, there are a lot of patients who lose weight. So most of the food advice starts from the second trimester, when the nausea is under control and they can eat well. There are some women who don't experience any nausea or vomiting. They can start eating the increase in protein from the first trimester itself. Second is the requirement of calcium. Calcium supplementation is required by everybody. So for calcium, we give these supplements plus whatever milk products they can have will increase their calcium intake is good, but it's not always enough. So calcium supplementation goes for everybody. Green leafy vegetables, everybody should have to maintain the hemoglobin. Women who have lower hemoglobin, somewhere around 9, 10, 11, there we will give iron supplementation and B complex and folic acid to increase their hemoglobin and then maintain.
Dr. Dripti, a lot of women experience nausea in the first trimester, and some of them experience it even through the pregnancy. So, what are the things that we can take or do to ensure that somehow we can manage this nausea, and why does this happen to begin with?
The nausea in pregnancy arises because you have a hormone called beta HCG which doubles up every day. So when your levels are jumping up, your body cannot cope up with that and the nausea happens. So you have nausea in particular times and parts of the week. It is not consistently the same. It can be less, more, things like that. So when it is more, I would tell them to avoid food, any solid food, because throwing up causes other issues. Causes acidity and retching will cause some people complain of bleeding because of excessive vomiting. So what we tell them to do is, during the time when the retching is at the peak, you take medicine that reduces the vomiting. There are lovely medicines that support, and there are people who don't like taking medicines, and we respect that. But if a complication is happening, like if she's bleeding and things like that, then we tell them that you will have to take it. Avoiding food at that time of the day. So some people have nausea only in the morning, some people have it in the evening. So eating food or having fluids during the rest of the day can help. Some amount of, like any candies or anything with a strong smell, elaichi or something sour like a tamarind. Everybody has a different thing that helps them reduce the nausea, vomiting. People have aversion to some kind of food. In pregnancy, they realize that they can have it better. So everybody finds their own thing. There are people who cannot tolerate milk in the first 3 months. There are people who cannot smell the tadka in the kitchen. They cannot eat the normal food that's made, so they would want to have something very chatpata to negate the taste, and they find that normal food. They will not find it very chatpata or khatta. So in the first 3 months, whatever helps them. A lot of fruit, natural juices help, or natural foods, because they don't have the smell of tadka, and it's a natural thing, so they can eat it. Like there are people who can eat mangoes and berries and apples, oranges. Eating natural food, curds, dahi, it reduces the vomiting that happens with normal food. There are no restrictions to having non-veg food in pregnancy. There are people who cannot tolerate the smell of non-veg in the first trimester, maybe even in the second. So there are people who are hardcore non-veg eaters, they suddenly become vegetarian in pregnancy because they can't tolerate it. But the people who tolerate it can eat non-veg. Only thing, it has to be well cooked.
Tell us more about this theory, where they say that having carrots will improve a child's vision or just the development of eyes. Having walnuts will make the brain better or improve the memory. What I mean is, there are certain organs which will be better formed if we have certain food products. Are these to be believed?
So there are no active studies which say that if you eat this food, the baby's liver will be stronger, or if you eat a particular food, the eyes will be better. So for organ development specifically, there is nothing that you can take which will improve a particular organ. So the organs formed in a baby depend upon the genes of the mother and father. So if the mother and father are healthy and fit, the baby is going to be healthy and fit. Maintaining a normalcy in pregnancy is more important than taking some specific food which will help the baby to have a particular organ that is stronger.
Doctor, we get a lot of advice on certain foods that we must definitely avoid to, not have a miscarriage or abortion. So, are there such foods that you think we need to totally avoid?
In the olden days, they used to make abortifacients out of bark of the pineapple tree and the seeds from papaya. They used to use it as abortifacients. So, medically it is known that they reduce the amount of progesterone. That is the second hormone in pregnancy, which is very, very important for the continuation of pregnancy. But if you're having a piece of papaya or a pineapple, it's not a bad thing, and you'll never end up eating the seeds or the bark of the pineapple. You're eating the fruit, so it tends to reduce the progesterone. That's all the thing is. So if you have a piece or if it's a part of something, it does not cause an abortion.
So this question is one of my favorites. I love eating Chinese. Do I need to give it up? I remember the time when I was pregnant and I had gone to a Michelin star restaurant in Bandra. My friends, of course, were teasing me by having the best dumplings on earth, and I was forced to eat a lotus stem dish which did not have MSG. Is this to be believed that MSG is not safe to be consumed in pregnancy?
All the Chinese people eat Chinese. They don't eat Indian food during pregnancy, So, and their babies turn out okay. So the amount of MSG that is added in Chinese food has to be limited, because there are a lot of people who can have allergy to it or can develop allergy to it. So the amount of MSG has to be limited, but they can eat Chinese.
Doctor, we keep having these food cravings. Sometimes, a lot of women feel like having more sweet, sometimes having a lot more sour, or sometimes just having junk food. Is it okay to give in to these cravings?
Like a child has a craving of eating candies all the time. So will you give the child candies all the time and you disrespect what it does to your teeth and what it does to your system? So you have to understand that, okay, if you have a craving, you can take a piece of pizza, or you can enjoy some amount of food, whatever it is. But if you if you eat 12 pizzas in a week, or if you eat junk food all the time, it is going to harm your system.
Doctor, with the kind of lifestyle and stresses that we have today, some parents, one or both of them do have types of diabetes. Is it important for them to control or consume a certain type or a category of food in order to not pass that medical condition on to their unborn child?
There are problems of congenital abnormalities which can be avoided by eating proper food. Like we have patients who have diabetes in pregnancy or who are already diabetics and are pregnant. So maintaining the environment where the sugars are normal is very important.
Well, Dr. Dripti, is another interesting theory that by having certain foods, we can ensure that if one of the parents has allergies, they don't pass on to the baby. For example, having Brazilian nuts or having a lot of lactose, if the parent is lactose intolerant, will ensure that the baby gets used to having such products. Are these theories to be believed? And if yes, which are those products which we should definitely keep in mind?